Wameenda sai. Agriculture na English. Ama mimi nimeonaje? English itakuwa kwani nilikuwa naangalia timetable gani? Ama lesson yangu ni form 3. Naona nikiwa na form 2. Nenda klasi yenye haiko. How many have you met? How many have you met talking about that? Clint Ramorwasi. Hello. Ramorwasi, hi. I've been checking some books again yesterday. I don't know whether those who brought, did they check on what we had discussed in class? Or he just brought what he had done? Because I saw the same mistakes were still occurring. But I hope you will improve with time. Because currently, I think the exams are almost being set. So we need to see on what to do. But let's go to the last story. I think this should be the last story. Ivory Bangles. Then we'll begin to see through revision. Yeah, so let's read through Ivory Bangles. It's a very short one. Yeah, so let us start. It's a class text. In a class, exercise. Did you bring today or yesterday? Yesterday. Yesterday, books came back. Who received them? Yeah, it must be in the books that were came yesterday, because the only books I have are the ones which were brought in the morning, 3 of them. One of them belongs to her, and there's another. 3. So just check. One of you must be hiding. Have you started the habit of hiding people's books?
No.
Why is hers missing? Because the books I marked yesterday, all of them were brought back. Yeah. So let's start reading that, but be checking on her book so that she doesn't miss on the notes and even the samples she's worked on. Yeah, Ivory Bangles by country. Okay, so let's proceed.
Taking him to his house and the surrounding banana grove. As his mind wandered, he stepped out of the path to relieve himself, but only a small trickle washed the trunk of the tree in front of him. The words of the seer were alarming. He had a deep-seated suspicion of the seer, but he was a tribal seer, a priest of the people, and he had to go to his home after he noticed the blood specks on the liver of a goat he had slaughtered. The seer's fable said someone was going to die. The fable said a wife was going to die. The fable said the spirits were jealous of a happy wife, a woman unmolested by her husband until old age, until she was called grandmother. He immediately knew it was his wife. What can I do to avert this? The fable said he had to give her a thorough beating. The Bible said he had to send her to her parents after the beating. They can be appeased in another manner. I will give any number of gods. The Bible said he had to give his wife a thorough beating. The Bible said he had to send her to her parents after the beating. His wife came and unstrapped his leather sandals and led him behind the house to the guarding and rubbed him with a sharp-smelling angel.
I wanted us to discuss the first part of that visitation and what the seer says. So we discussed the previous page. Who is walking? Who is walking? The husband. Maybe you will not know from the beginning because he's mentioned at on the next page as the chief's counsel. That man is the chief's counsel. So he's the one who is walking and heading to the house. All right. So what do we learn from paragraph 1 and 2? What is happening there? Because it is an episode on its own. What is happening there? Of what? So they used to believe in a seer. And how did this seer tell them about the future? Because for you to go to the seer, it means you believe that the seer will help in some way. So what were they going to do at the seer's place? And what do they learn from him? Like the chief's counsel. What does he learn from the seer? Yeah. Yeah, so the seer reveals that an old wife is going to die. And why should she die? Because? Yeah, her husband has never molested her. Hence, the spirits are what? Jealous about it. molested, harassed, abused, beaten. Do your communities believe in wife beating? Totally, in your villages, there is no wife who has been beaten. Because I'm surprised, am I in Africa or where am I? If Americans are doing it, yes, in America, they molest, even they kill and bury you in the house. In India, they also do. It may not be your father. I'm not necessarily saying that when we talk, we say that it happens, that now we are talking about your parents. It's unfortunate for it to happen to your parents, but we have seen, from where I come from, there were very funny people who used to beat their wives around. I've never seen my father beat my mother. In fact, my mother is tough like me. She would not stand that nonsense. She cannot. So she cannot stand being beaten. How? How do you stand as a woman to allow someone to beat you? Yeah? But then, for those of you who read this book by Majore Olude, did you read it? Anyone who has read Majore Olude's book, Coming to Birth? You are not readers. Coming to Birth is a book that was a novel in Kenya, and it was done by Form 4 for 4 years. The leading tribe in Kenya that believe in wife beating is the Luo people. Yes. And they believe it's a culture that if you don't beat your wife before they grow, before even 2 months after marriage, then it means you don't love them. Hey, that is what, by the way, Major Olude is married among the Luo. And that is why she wrote that book, to express the culture of the Luo, that they believe so much in wife beating. And even some women say, if I'm not beaten, I'm not loved. Then, when I was living at Coast, because I taught Hamisi boys in Mombasa town, then there is a time I taught near Taveta borders. So Taveta, when you look at the wives from Tanzania side, most of them are married in Kenya. I don't know why they also believe so much in wife beating. They themselves, they believe that if you're beaten is normal. Now this story comes from Tanzania. Tanzania, by the way, they believe in wife beating, and even women themselves, they say it's normal. Someone is beaten in the morning, you see them, they are just happy there. I lived with another woman who was married to Waguni kutoka Mombasa, lakini yeye alikuwa anatoka Tanzania. And during their stay, she could be beaten until she's shown a knife, and in the morning she's just there. Yeah, imagine. So this is one of the traditional aspects that these people believe in, wife beating. And that's why even when you go to the seer, they can predict such a thing. Because in a society where people don't believe in that, would someone predict such a thing? No. In fact, people die out of being beaten. How can you say that if they are beaten, that's when they would live, they would not die? But if they were not beaten all through their lives, the spirits are envious, and now they demand that that wife must be beaten for her to continue living. That is what the seer says. Also, the aspect of going to see the seer. How many in your societies believe in that aspect? Waganga. Hakuna waganga, the word waganga in your language, in your mother tongue. Hakuna. I don't think there is any community which lacks that. Because when I was even the other side, they used to call, they had a name for that, Murigiti. Among the coast people, they call it Murigiti, Muganga. And among the Luo, I think there is, among the Luo there is. So I think African generally, you cannot deny there is not. Maybe you are not going, but there are those who are going to those people. You have watched the Nigerian people, the interesting thing is that they really make money out of the same. For us Kenyans, we pretend, but that is going on. I saw another clip for another woman. The police had gone. She had made some man not to be able to speak. And then the police went to make her change it, and she was now threatening that if they dare her, she will do to them what they don't really believe. If you are the police, what would you do? I watched that clip, I was really laughing. One of the police was saying, let's just go deal with this woman. What is this nonsense she's telling? Another one saying, where? Not me. If you want, you go. Then that woman does not put on a dress. She just ties herself with things. So she was telling, kuja unibebe. Kama unajua unaweza to, kuja unibebe basi. Then when they approached, she said, yes. I really laughed at that, but I was just surprised. In case they went, what would happen? And in case you go and something happens, what would you say? You know, these things are beyond imagination. You don't what's happening?
And led him behind the house to the living room. Cut him and wrapped him with sharp-smelling onions. He salt back and shoulder muscles sobbing like dogs with bare teeth. Girl, the old man said to his elderly wife, girl, I have something I have today. We'll talk about it after the meal. They came back from the evening into the house and sat facing each other, their hearts between them. The woman pulled a piece of firewood, cracked it into slivers, pulled off some loose shavings and arranged the ginger and firewood over the coals. Small flames leapt at the shavings, caught the wood and illuminated the worried look on the old man's face. How is the child? He asked of the boy whose father, their only son, had agreed to let them spoil. He is asleep. The boy slept in his grandmother's bed. Soon, however, he would be too old for that. Eat your food. It is getting cold. Do you know where I went this evening? He started again, chewing his food nervously. The seer, she said. How did you know? She had stopped eating. I guess, simply, the leaping flame of the dying fire caught her smile, and her white teeth were made whiter by the beauty gap of the two lower teeth. She could still be like a girl. The old man grunted. This was not the atmosphere for discussing the words of the pebbles. He continued eating, slowly now, savoring the hidden nuances of taste and smell in the pottage made of mashed green bananas and finely shredded meat and stock and vegetables and herbs and the touch of her hands. This was not like any other meat and banana snack. He took a bite at the roasted sweet potatoes, chewed it with care and washed it down with a draught from the pottage bowl. You cook, woman, he thanked, stretching himself and yawning. Have a long life, son of the chief, she answered. She collected the wooden bowl and platter from the old man. The woodcutter, son of a woodcutter, a good warrior, a very brave warrior. He had been made the chief's counselor when he was relatively young. That had been during the time of the present chief's father. He still was the chief's counselor, much respected, but also much talked about because he had only one wife and a counselor was a small chief and whoever had a chief with one wife.
Okay, so we can again discuss that part, though it bears some two different concepts. So from where we have started, his wife came. What do you see there? Anything strange or normal? What do you see that is strange? Yeah? The? Bathing an old person. Can you do that? Yeah? Yeah, that's a traditional, typical society. They treat men like children. And that is what happens by the deep in societies where they believe that men are kings. So they even wash them, they, oil them. They even literally, like the way you deal with a small boy, that's exactly what happens there. Yeah, so it's in those societies, women are treated to carry a burden, so much burden. Like you prepare the meals, you even go to the market, buy what you have to buy. As you are buying, you are thinking, if my husband always takes some cigar, I should also buy for that. That's what happens in such societies. Then now you have to also, once you come home, you have prepared a meal, you make sure he is eating as you are sitting and watching. You can see the woman saying the food will get cold. So you have to monitor, make sure that he eats. And by the way, when I was at the coast, when you look at the Giriama men, I don't know, maybe some of you admire so much cost, but just admire cost to live and maybe get married to different people. I'm not campaigning against, but the Giriama men are so lazy. You will work, because I used to see, like there, women go maybe samaki mnasikia kiboma, sio? So they get from the lake, not the lake, the ocean. Then women now go prepare, go sell. And that is why in coast, like Mombasa, women are doing, like, there is no woman, few people see it. Maybe those who are married to richer ones. But the normal ones, women are the ones who struggle a lot. And that is why when you go to the streets of Mombasa, mtu anauza hapa maamri, mwingine anauza vidonge, mtu anauza sijinini, kila kitu, because they have to survive. Na wanasema maisha ni leo, wasema kesho, Mungu anajua. Because for them they are struggling. So how will they know about tomorrow if today is so hard? You find sometimes they call ugali msaara. So for them they'll say, maybe kama msaara hakuna tunakula kiboma hivyo tunalala. Tomorrow will take care of itself. So you find women are crossing the ferry. They are carrying a lot of fish. Maybe some are carrying vegetables. They go sell. They come back in the evening. They have to fend for that day. Tomorrow is another day. And men are just sitting. And when you arrive, they eat fast. Before even the children. And that is somehow the same style with the local people of Tanzania. When you finish school, you have money, try to do travel channels. I've always encouraged young people. Content creation is the easiest. You go about, maybe in the cultural aspects, try to study about the culture of those people. You go about, interview them. You stay around and make your, learn about them. So, that is what we see there. A woman has to unstrap, he removes his clothes, bathes the man, oils him, and then now goes, gives the food, watches as he eats. So that is a kind of culture, again, practice there. The submissiveness of a woman is honored in that culture. What else do you see? But a question will come also to ask you about love, because there's a common question which asks this in this story, that love and care offers peace in families. Write an essay in relation to the story Ivory Bangles. So the same paragraph can be used to offer an aspect of love. So anything else you see from that part? Anything else? Yeah. So it was their grandchild, right? Yeah, it was their grandchild, the child of their son. Anything else from the two last paragraphs? Yeah.
The man was a chief's son.
Is he the chief's son? They have told us here. The chief's counselor. He had been made the chief's counselor when he was relatively young. That had been during the time of the present chief's father. So there is the chief's father that was there, then there is a chief, then there is a chief's counselor. So the character whom we are talking about, that old man, is the chief's counselor. Yeah. Something else, yes.
The chief counselor was surprised when his wife told him that he knew that he went to see his.
So the woman automatically knew, because it's a community where men go to consult the seer. Just like, you watch a lot of movies from Nigeria, they normally have to see the seer at some point. So the same happens in this story, that the woman suspected that's where he had gone. Okay? Then the last paragraph, there is something there. There is a cultural aspect that is shared. The last paragraph that we have read. People are surprised at what? Yeah. He was a chief's counselor, who is almost like a chief but had one wife. What does that tell us about these people? Polygamous. Again, the same concept when you go to the Giriama people. Someone can even have 8 wives. Yes, and the one who brings the next wife is the next wife. If you are wife number 1, you bring wife number 2. Wife number 2 brings wife number 3. Wife number 3, number 4. Like that. And it also happens to be among the people from the Tanzania side. Okay, so we can proceed to the next paragraph. Next page, 23.
When the aging chief told him to get himself another wife, this was shortly after he was made counselor as a reward for bravery shown in the Battle of 5 Rainy Days. He had answered with a riddle. A woman went to the riverside. The woman wanted to fetch water. The woman had 1 water pot. The woman arrived at the water point. The woman found another water pot. The woman came back home with a pot. The woman brought back a water pot with a pot shell filled with water. The old chief roared with laughter. A wife, a co-wife, witchcraft and death. He shouted. But wait, he countered. Wait, how big would a chief's pot shell be?
Pot shell spot.
Your pots are unbreakable. Chief, answered the young warrior. Your pots are made of iron. I will sleep now, the old man said. The woman got up. She was tall and still firmly built. As she moved the 24 ivory bangles she wore clanked like many castles. She was remarkable in them. 8 in either hand and 4 heavy ones on each leg. The ones on her hands were edged with the a long black coil. He had presented the bangles to her when their firstborn child. Now their only son was given a name. She had looked like a chief's bride. Your wife is comely, the chief had told him. We are your subjects, chief. She is very comely in the many ivory bangles she wears. I made them, sir, and the ivory was from the elephant I shot with a poison arrow. I brought you one of the tusks as the castle. People say you brought the bangles. They forget that I am a Kara, and furthermore, where would I get the courage?
Okay, we discussed there are 2 parts there. One part ends with the riddle, and somewhere there. Then the other one is discussed below. So what do we get from that riddle? What is that riddle telling us? because the chief has suggested that the chief's counselor must marry another wife, especially after he has done what? He has shown as a brave man in the battle of the 5 rainy days. And during such battles, men are supposed to kill an elephant. In fact, that part of Tanzania across to Taita Taveta, there are a lot of elephants. There used to be a time even in the morning, they just pass by near where you stay. And they pass so many, around even 50. And the garden wards of Tsavo Park have to move around and hit them back to the park. Because when they are there, sometimes they cause some accidents. So for one to prove they are brave, they are supposed to kill an elephant. And when they kill an elephant, what do? They take the tusk, and the ivory in it is used to make bangles for a wife, especially if a wife has given birth to the first child as a son. Yeah, and that is what exactly he did. So in that riddle, when he's told to marry, what does he mean? When he's told to marry another wife, why does he reject? Anyone who has an idea? Yes. Uh-huh. So there'll be witchcraft in the home. Conflicts also will arise and all that. And death will come by, which is a common aspect, right? Yes. With witchcraft, with polygamy, obviously people don't trust each other and there'll be rivalry, maybe for property or something like that. And at the end of the day, there comes issues of death. So he refers to this riddle that when someone goes to the riverside and then they have the water pot, when they reach the water point and they fetch what? He says that they'll come back with the pot, but in the pot there'll be, the trash. That is what they call the pot's shards, the trash in it. So, meaning that if you marry a woman and go bring another, that other one might become a problem. So once you fetch water once, it's enough. That's the riddle that the chief's counselor uses. And the chief tries to tell him you are strong, and there's no way you can experience that. But he rejects. So what do we realize there? Why does the chief's counselor reject marrying another wife? Apart from that aspect, we establish the aspect of love. In case you are being given a question to discuss love, we have found the second point. You'll use that. Then the third point, of course, it has come out of the making of the bangle that makes the woman so beautiful. And we are told that when she walks around, she looks what? Calmly in the bangles. Okay, so let's proceed to the next. The woman
was created.
And you are reading as if you are so tired. Why? Huh? Let's read with some energy.
The woman washed the utensils and sprinkled the water on the ground into the coals. They beside the old man on his chest. It's only the mouthpiece of fire. He wanted to marry me. Happier moments. He would answer angrily. It wasn't he who put water. She murmured. There must be some way, he said, shifting uncomfortably. There is, and I will tell you, she said. Can she see that her life is involved? He wondered. She continued talking. morning, the man went to his place of work and she, later in the day, went to the market. She heard people saying something about elephants which had been near the forest. The herd is coming down to the plains now, one man said. Another commented on how devastating the beast would be to the young plants. People who know how to use poison arrows have followed them. With poison arrows, several can be killed. Another was saying, a marketplace. Many are its people and thrice as many its words. The woman moved on, her bangles clanking softly. A loved woman embezzled with ivory. She was thinking, I will first go home, cook for the man, then later I will go to my brother's place. This brother, her elder brother, was the one who took their late parents' oxen and was now standing in the place of her father. Her plan had been to go there weeping, complaining that her husband had beaten her without any reason. She would stay until her husband came to ask her to go back to him. She would refuse, forcing her clan and her husband's clan to meet and reconcile them. The fine would be imposed on the irresponsible husband and the bearer of reconciliation drum. The spirits would certainly be full and life would continue as before.
Okay, up to there. Let's discuss that, because there is an episode that ends at before the next morning. Then the other one starts from next morning onwards. So what happens between the paragraph I went to see the seer up to the next morning? Let's be a bit fast so that the lesson does not end when we have not finished. This is a very short story. We must finish within this lesson. Yeah. So you see that the man believes, isn't it? The chief's counselor believes that indeed what the seer has said is true, especially considering the speckles on the liver. So even though the wife says, gives an excuse saying that seer wanted to marry her and said that if she could not accept, then he was going to place a what? A spell on her. But the chief says he's not the one who placed the blood on the goat's liver. What else happens? What else do we see? Do they think there's a solution to their problem? So the man says there must be a way, right? So it's like he wants to practice the ritual, but he's afraid. So he says there must be a way around it. It's not necessary that we do the ritual beating, but there must be a way around it. And there's a question that comes and it asks, procrastination is always leads to, how do they set it? Procrastination leads to death or something like that. Then they write in reference to this. The next part, from the next morning up to where we've reached, what do we see? Yeah. That one, the fact that she says she blames the seer, but the next morning is not what has that. I wanted, from the next morning, the man went up to where we've reached. Yeah. So during times of elephants, by the way, they communicate. Sometimes they send people to run around as they announce, or they'll announce in schools during times of elephants, so that we don't have children or even people being hurt. So they were announcing that at the marketplace. What else? Yes. So she had planned that she will fake. She will fake having been beaten. She will go to her brother's place. She will report it, and then later on they'll come and reconcile, and the spirits will forget about it. That is her thought. So we see all that. Then we are also seeing that there are people who are running around with arrows to shoot the elephant. What is this telling us? For those of you who will be working in the wildlife industry. Not just poaching, but it's human-animal conflict. So we realize that these people are, they cannot protect the elephants. What they do, it's rather they kill them, right? Let's see. I don't know whether we'll finish the other, we may not. But let's just try. Maybe the other person will delay to come. She hurriedly? Yeah, it's tea time. Oh, you are shifting? Yes. Okay, so let's see whether we can cover that. I think tomorrow. Yes. Yeah, tomorrow, then we see whether we can try to revise the questions you've done. Yeah. Can you, if it's separated, you can kind of, yeah, do that. Morning. Form 3 notes.